I always believed my marriage to David was built on love, trust, and mutual respect. We had been together for 8 years, and during that time, we faced both highs and lows. I loved him deeply, and despite our disagreements, I thought we were unshakable. But I could never have imagined the day when my husband would put me in the most awkward and uncomfortable situation of my life, one involving his own father. It all started one rainy evening in our quiet suburban home in North Carolina. David came home from work looking unusually tense. His forehead creased as he dropped his briefcase and sat heavily on the couch. I immediately sensed something was wrong. "Emily," he said, his voice low and hesitant, "my dad is going through a really rough time. He needs help, and I want you to be the one to help him." I paused, trying to understand. His father, Mr. Jameson, was a proud man in his 60s who had recently lost his wife, David's mother, to illness. Since then, he had been withdrawn, quiet, and visibly lonely. I had always treated him with kindness, but we had never been especially close. "What do you mean help him?" I asked carefully. David avoided my eyes. "He doesn't talk to anyone. He doesn't eat properly, he doesn't go out. I've tried, but he doesn't respond to me. You have this warmth about you, Emily. People open up to you. I was hoping you could spend more time with him, maybe get him to talk, maybe even cook for him sometimes. He needs someone." I was stunned. It wasn't a request I expected from my husband. I wanted to support David, but the thought of suddenly being the emotional support system for his grieving father felt like a heavy responsibility. Still, I agreed because family was important to me. The next day, I visited Mr. Jameson's house. His home was quiet, almost hauntingly so. When he opened the door, his eyes looked tired, his shoulders slumped under invisible weight. "Emily," he said softly, surprised to see me. "Yes," I smiled gently. "I thought I'd check on you. Maybe we could have dinner together?" He hesitated, then slowly nodded. Over the next few weeks, I found myself spending more time with Mr. Jameson. I cooked meals for him, helped him with errands, and encouraged him to talk. At first, he was reserved, answering with short words, but gradually he began to open up. He told me stories of his late wife, of his younger days, and even of his struggles raising David alone after losing his job years ago. I started to see a side of him that I had never noticed before. He wasn't just David's father, he was a man with deep scars, quiet strength, and a heart that had been badly broken. But as I grew closer to Mr. Jameson, I noticed a change in David. Instead of being grateful, he became distant, even cold. One night, he snapped at me. "You spend more time with my father than with me," he shouted. I was taken aback. "You asked me to help him, David. I've only been trying to do what you wanted." His eyes burned with something between jealousy and resentment. "I didn't think you'd care so much about him." That was the moment I realized the trap I had unknowingly walked into. My husband had asked me to help his father, but he hadn't expected me to form a genuine bond with him. The irony was cruel. David wanted me to fix his father, yet he resented me when I succeeded. The situation grew tense. Mr. Jameson, sensing the strain, tried to distance himself from me, but I could see the loneliness in his eyes whenever I left. I was torn between being a good wife and being a kind human being. One evening, David forced the issue. "I don't care how lonely he is," he said harshly. "You're my wife. I don't want you spending so much time with him anymore. I made a mistake asking you." My heart sank. I couldn't believe what he was asking me to do, abandon his grieving father after I had been the only one he trusted to open up to. I felt trapped between loyalty and compassion. I wanted to stand by my husband, but I also knew that walking away from Mr. Jameson would crush him further. The following weeks became a silent battlefield. I tried to balance both relationships, but the tension at home grew unbearable. David accused me of caring more for his father than for him. I defended myself, reminding him it was his idea to begin with. But nothing I said seemed to calm his anger. Finally, one afternoon, Mr. Jameson asked to speak with me privately. His voice was calm, but his words carried weight. "Emily, you've done more for me than anyone else. But I don't want to be the reason your marriage falls apart. Please, put David first." He needs you more than I do. Tears welled up in my eyes. I couldn't believe that the man I had been asked to help was now the one showing me the greatest understanding. He was right. That night, I made the hardest decision. I sat with David and told him, I will always support your father, but my marriage comes first. I will step back. For the first time in weeks, David softened. He held my hand and whispered, "Thank you. That's all I wanted." It wasn't easy. Walking away from Mr. Jameson's house felt like leaving behind someone who had come to depend on me. But I knew that in order to protect my marriage, boundaries had to be drawn. In the months that followed, David slowly reconnected with his father. My stepping back forced him to step up, and in a way, it healed their strained relationship. Mr. Jameson eventually joined a local support group, made friends, and began to rebuild his life. Looking back now, I realize that the whole ordeal wasn't about infidelity in the physical sense. It was about emotional boundaries, about how easily they can blur, and how damaging that blur can be to a marriage. I didn't betray my husband, but my emotional bond with his father had created cracks that nearly broke us apart. I learned a hard lesson. Love and compassion are beautiful qualities, but without boundaries, they can create confusion, pain, and mistrust. My marriage survived, but only because I chose to prioritize it before it was too late. And though things are better now, I will never forget the day my husband asked me to do the one thing that almost tore us apart, helping his father.